go. Hello and welcome to the March 7th issue of the Under the Umbrella podcast from the Big Green Umbrella Media Studio. I'm Cody Williams, Cityview reporter with
Tammy Pearson, Iowa Living Magazine's editor.
Tammy. How are you this morning?
I am great.
Well, that's fantastic to hear.
How about you?
I'm doing pretty fantastic. I was at the Iowa State BYU game last night. That was a thrilling contest. One of the most exciting games I've ever been to, any sporting event, period. Went with my friend and some of his dad and some of their friends, and just had a great time. Went to Welch Ave Station before, had some Pizza Pit, my favorite pizza, and had an incredible time. Had an absolutely incredible time. What a game that was.
Yeah, if you were at a game, that's the one to be at, right?
It was. I'm paying for it. I'm quite tired this morning because obviously, 8 p.m. tip, and then you got to get all the way back down to Des Moines, and then, but well worth it. Oh, Tammy.
Owe me a Coke.
All right, that I can do.
Do you know that saying?
Yeah, I know.
When you say the same thing at the same time. Owe me a Coke.
Jinx. I know the whole.
Really? So it's not, it's survived the generations.
That one transcends ages, I would say anyway.
Awesome.
But yeah, that's great. All right, I'll get you. You like Coke Zero, don't you? You're a Coke Zero fan.
Yep, you got it.
All right, I'll get on that, and I owe you a Crunch Wrap too. Well, Tammy,
I can get both at the same time.
You can. Do they have Coke Zero? They don't have Coke Zero.
No, they don't. You'll have to make 2 stops. Sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I
No.
didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I'll put that on my list, my reminders. But to interrupt, I'm just going to send it right back to you. We got to get you started with our joke of the day.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, tell me, Cody, what happened after the lion and the tiger escaped the zoo with a jaguar?
What happened when the lion and the tiger escaped the zoo with a jaguar?
Yes.
I don't know.
Stay tuned.
You're going to have to stay tuned. Oh, I shouldn't do that. But I'm going to kick it off. Cityview has been delivered as of yesterday and somewhat today. It's going to be out on the rest of the racks and the shelves today. After being delivered yesterday, all the stories are up on the website. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about some of the stories in there. First of all, the cover story, Cityview's 50 Greatest Rock Songs. Not of all time, cuts off, I think, at 2000, right? That's the cutoff.
Somewhere around there.
Around there. This was put together by Jackie Wilson. She did an incredible job, along with the rest of us during our creative hour, coming up with every rock song we could possibly think of. Stipulations where you could only have one from each artist, right? An artist couldn't have a repeat song.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So 50 different artists and their best rock songs.
That's right. And I was reading through and I was surprised at how many I did know. I don't think that there was a song in there that I didn't recognize, which I'm not too much of a classic rock listener, but these songs just, they're classics and they're really good overall. I mean, should I spoil what number one is? They're going to read it. Of course they're going to read it.
And we should let people know that they're not in order.
They are not in order.
Number one is not what we think is the best.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're all the best.
They are.
Go ahead, give some examples.
So, for example, at number one, but not technically our rated number one, Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. Which I think if you were going to pick a number one, if you had to pick a number one, that one would be up there.
Arguably, yes.
Mm-hmm. Other songs in here, you've got Back in Black by AC/DC, you got Jailhouse Rock by Elvis, Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi, Crazy Train, Ozzy Osbourne. I know I got one of my suggestions in there. Rockstar by Nickelback. Big shout out, Nickelback.
I don't know the song.
You don't know Rockstar, Tammy?
Maybe if I heard it.
I could give you every lyric right now. I won't, but I could. So yeah, there's some Nickelback in there. Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana.
Don't know it.
You've heard Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Maybe.
Oh, you had to have.
I have to hear them. I got a couple of my choices in there as well. Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
What was the name of it? Another Brick in the Wall.
Oh, yeah, there it is right there.
And Chuck Berry's Johnny Be Good.
That is a good one. That is a really good one.
I'd argue maybe in contention for number one.
In contention for number one?
Yes, for sure.
Oh, you got Bad to the Bone, Smoke on the Water. We should put together a playlist of it on Spotify and Apple Music, and people can download it. And
that's a good idea.
I'm just chock full of them,
You are.
Sometimes. Only 2 of my songs got in here, I think. There's Boulevard of Broken Dreams by Green Day. That's another one that's a little bit closer to my generation. I think you get kind of away from this style of rock that's in all of these once you get past the 2000s. It's a little bit more alternative rock, I think, from my generation. Not quite like this style.
Right.
Which there's nothing wrong with, but yeah, it's definitely changed over the years. Which I think is really interesting. I think that'll go the same way with rap and hip hop music. It'll start creating its own subgenres, which it already has since the 80s and 90s, but it'll keep doing that throughout the decades, and it'll have, you'll have your big differences.
And Jackie touches on some of the different subsets of rock music as well in her story. Good read. It's
a great read. It is a great read. She goes into some good detail, found all those songs, got all those album covers. It's a good time. It's a good read.
It's good water cooler fodder.
Yeah.
For conversation.
Did you
Take
see
it to your water
Cityview?
cooler. That's right. Did you think they missed any?
They didn't have,
Yep.
Johnny Boy and the Superstones, or, was there a Sex Pistols song in there?
I don't recall.
I guess they'll have to check it out and see. Or maybe there was definitely an Alice Cooper song in there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But yeah, great read. Definitely worth checking out. Next up, Relish, our foodie publication inserted into Cityview. You can find what a fun time that is, putting those stories together and reading through it. There's 3 feature stories in there. Gardens, Not Just for the Backyard, where Jim Duncan goes into detail about restaurant gardens and how they've been revived. That's a pretty good time. That's a really... is that considered farm to table?
I don't think that would be technically farm to table. More like rooftop to table.
But that's pretty good. I think that's a good read, and it's a good insight into how I think more and more people are wanting fresh, local ingredients, stuff that they can see not coming from, major distributors, which I think is nice, and I think a lot of people agree with.
Yes. And you contributed to Relish.
I did. I wrote the feature called Spilling the Beans. I was very proud of that title.
Yes, clever.
About the Des Moines coffee scene. I did some research, and I wanted to find a nice mix of coffee shops around the city that, weren't chains, but offered you different things at each one of them. And they had their own different styles. So you had St. Kilda, which is more of a bakery, and they do a lot of food stuff and a lot of great looking food. Their cover, their art, or their photo was on the cover. That beautiful latte art, that was awesome.
Yes.
That was gorgeous looking.
Incredible.
There was the Slowdown out in Highland Park. Just really great coffee. They also do some latte art. And there was also La Barista out in West Des Moines / kind of Urbandale area. Love that place. I've been going there every weekend since. Amanda and I, before we go to the dog park.
You've been drinking a lot of coffee lately.
I definitely have. And I tried coffee at each and every single one of these places. There was 5. There's Coffee Cats, also in West Des Moines, out by Valley Junction, where you can go pet a cat, adopt a cat even, if you'd like.
Or just call me.
Or just call Tammy.
Got some spare.
And out on Ingersoll, Zanzibar. Spoke to Zanzibar, as they've been around for 35 years. La Barista 34, so I got a couple of locations that have been around for a long time that both kind of do their own thing. Slow Down and Cat's Coffee, Cat Cafe. They're a little bit newer. They have their own style of things. St. Kilda with the bakery. It was a lot of fun talking to them and getting their perspective. And when I asked each of them, because each of them had like a Starbucks or a Dunkin' right down the street, or even almost so much as right across the street, and asking them, and they go, well, we don't do the same thing. Right. They offer you something completely different. If you want to, they serve coffee, but they're more of like a fast food, whereas this is a cafe. This is somewhere you could sit down. This is somewhere you could build a rapport with someone in your community. And that was something they were all really proud about. They were very proud about where they're located. They like being located there. And so that was really nice.
And they have their followings from the neighborhood. And yeah, great story.
It was a lot of fun working on that. And then the last story in there, the return of the neighborhood joint. Jim went into detail about the various neighborhoods throughout Des Moines and their staple restaurants from the east side, the south side, Highland Park, Beaverdale, Franklin, and Valley Junction, which was a lot of fun. A lot of classic restaurants all around the city. And those neighborhoods have their stalwarts. And Jim talked about them, and that was a nice, fun read.
Take a tour of the city and stop at each neighborhood.
Yeah, grab a
stalwart.
Grab a coffee.
I like that word.
It's a good word.
Yeah.
I've been trying to use that more lately.
Well, I'm proud of you.
Oh, thank you, Tammy. I'm honored. Some other Cityview stories to check out this month. Art News, Center Stage, Food Dude, among the rest in there. We'll do a little bit more highlights on the other stories. More to come this month.
All right.
And you can read those stories at www.dmcityview.com. And you can read the Relish stories at relish.dmcityview.com.
Excellent.
I didn't have that one handy, but I knew it was pretty close.
Well, in the Living magazines this month, we're starting our stories about dream vacations that just sort of changed your life, gave you new perspective. And these stories have been really fascinating. And you and I have talked about them. We both sort of have gotten the travel bug. Mm-hmm. But just in this first week's issues alone, Adele Johnston in Winterset, we have people talking about trips to Thailand, Bali, Jamaica, Switzerland, Paris, Germany, and one woman who took her children and her dog on scenic trails in Colorado in order to spread her father's ashes there. All of them very good stories. Look at them at www.iowalivingmagazines.com.
Those are some beautiful stories and some really nice pictures as well in there.
And where do you want to go, Cody?
I'd love to go everywhere. I want to go everywhere. I read those stories and I go, because my personal dream ones, I'd love to go to London to see an Arsenal game. That's one of the biggest dreams because I've been an Arsenal fan for over a decade now, and it's so far away, and it just seems like such a pipe dream. But the older I get, the more I'm like, oh, I could definitely do that.
Make it happen.
And I definitely will. Australia. I've always wanted to go to Australia and see the Steve Irwin Zoo because I was a big Steve Irwin fan growing up. My friend Ben is currently studying abroad in New Zealand. He's been there since January, and just seeing his pictures, and he went to a rugby game, and, just the hikes that he's been on. New Zealand would be amazing. I'd love to just do a Europe tour.
Is there anywhere you wouldn't want to go?
There's really not. I think I'd go I'd really go just about anywhere.
Well, just getting a change of scenery, I think, is good for anybody. Exposing yourself to new cultures and new experiences. Hey, that's what life's about.
That's true.
Make it happen.
And the food.
Oh.
I would just eat everywhere I went. What about you, Tammy?
Oh, gosh.
You're pretty well traveled, I feel, already.
I visited a few places in my younger years since my father was an army man, so we lived in Germany and got to see some sights. But, gee, it's hard to say. It's hard to say.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere new, I think, would be fantastic. Yeah. But London's on the top of my list, too, and Scotland and Ireland.
I would love to.
Those areas would be fun.
See the castles out there. I'd love to go just on a castle tour.
Yes.
Oh, that'd be beautiful. France especially as well. I took French in high school, and one of my little reports I did was on French castles, and I had to say them in French. And I didn't realize they had all those castles.
Should go to France.
None of the French that I learned will hold up. I think I can still count to like 15, and that's about it. That's really where it stops.
Well, that won't get you too far, but
no.
Take one of those little translation apps with you.
Mm-hmm. That would probably get you through it.
I did have the great pleasure of seeing the Cathedral of Notre Dame
before
it burned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was glad I had that opportunity.
Oh, yeah, and to go to Greece.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Our coworker, Aaron, has been to Greece. He can tell you. Beautiful.
Oh. I'll get out there, and I'll take some beautiful pictures.
Send them to me.
They'll hit your inbox immediately as soon as they're taken.
I'll weep in envy.
But yeah, those, where can they read?
www.iowalivingmagazines.com.
Perfect.
I almost sent them to a wrong website.
We wouldn't want to. I would never do that personally, except for when I do. And what I forgot to mention, in this issue of Cityview also, we have Civic Skinny, where it was detailed there about 22 million pounds of manure, $50,000 in RAGBRAI incentive money, STD numbers in Iowa, and ampersand signs.
Oh.
And I wanted to get your take on ampersand signs. I could ask you about any of those, but I think the ampersand signs are the funniest. So with Come and Go being bought out by Maverick, and they're in collaboration, they have not confirmed. It's been reported by industry insiders that they plan to change the name. Not confirmed by Maverick, as I asked them. But if that change were to happen, what is Come and Go going to do with all their ampersand door handles and the big ampersands that have the community artwork at a bunch of different locations? What are they going to do with those? Do you think they'd keep them there?
Well, they would have some tie to the history of the company, wouldn't they? I would say that they should leave them there as an homage to the past.
Mm-hmm. Because that would be fun.
What else would they do with them?
I mean,
you could throw them away.
You can't throw them away.
No. Donate them.
You could donate them, the ampersands, to maybe to A&W if they don't have them already. Or we had a couple mentions in Civic Skinny of other ampersand named businesses, but the artwork, I feel like from their perspective, they might just say it's too much of a hassle to move. Just leave it there.
I wonder how heavy they are.
I'll try to lift one up for you.
Would you?
There's one right over at this one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, right down the street.
Can I take a picture as you attempt to lift it?
It's like our own Excalibur.
Oh.
If you are able to lift the ampersand community art, you take over Come and Go. You get to be the owner.
Oh, dear. There's a challenge. We're going to have people all over the city
Give it your best shot.
Grabbing the ampersands and trying to haul them away.
I think Celeste, our design manager, had the funniest one where you could do it could be a cartoon of all the ampersand signs piled up at the Papa John Sculpture Park.
Yes.
Just what do we do with these? I thought that image sounded really funny. I liked that suggestion.
Weld them all together and make a massive ampersand sculpture out of ampersands.
Maybe like a little dome.
Whoa.
We should be city planners or managers or whoever would do that. We should own Maverick.
No, we shouldn't. We should stay here and,
All right.
Go ahead.
All right, fine.
Moving on.
All right, moving on to what's coming up this weekend.
Oh, yes.
Some fun stuff for
What's
you guys to
going
do. Iowa's largest arts and crafts show will be at the Varied Industries Building at the Fairgrounds, March 8th through the 10th. So that's this weekend. That should be a lot of fun if you're looking for arts and crafts. At Wells Fargo Arena, the semifinal state basketball games are happening today, and the finals, the championship games, will be happening tomorrow at Wells Fargo Arena. That should be a good time if you're looking for some basketball for the boys' games with the girls all wrapped up. And on Sunday, you can go to the Botanical Garden and enjoy Botanical Blues.
Great series, yes.
Experience the Botanical Garden while taking in some of the best of blues and music that the city has to offer.
Perfect combination.
It sounds like it to me. That'd be a great time. The Botanical Garden do a lot of fun events like that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And what a beautiful, beautiful place to visit.
I need to get out there more.
As do I.
All right. Well, that's all I had for fun events this weekend. Tammy, are you going to hit us with the joke answer?
Oh, yes, I am.
It's got to be
good. Drum roll. You need to add a drum roll.
Oh, boy. That's a good point. I'm afraid to hit the buttons.
Just pick a button.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Thank you.
That was not bad.
What happened after the lion and the tiger escaped the zoo with a jaguar?
What happened?
They got a ticket for driving without a license. Of course, jaguar in that case is a car.
The vehicle.
Or how did some fancy, poshy people pronounce it? How do they?
Jaguar? How would Austin Powers say it?
How would he?
I don't want to say it.
Oh.
I was trying to bait you into that one.
Oh, okay. I'll have to Google that.
It's a classic.
Oh.
Well, that's it for us, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. We want to say thank you for listening to this episode, our 10th episode, actually.
Whoa.
Look at that. A nice little anniversary for us.
Yeah.
Thank you. From everyone at Big Green Umbrella Media, we hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Under the Umbrella podcast. You can read our Guthrie Center publications at www.gctimesnews.com, Iowa Living Magazine stories at www.iowalivingmagazines.com, Cityview at www.dmcityview.com, and if you have a story suggestion or would like to make a comment, you can send this to editor@dmcityview.com. Thank you and goodbye.